Let me read to you a passage from the 15th chapter of St. John's Gospel, verses 18 to 21. It's the Gospel for Saturday of the 5th week in Eastertide. St. John writes, Jesus said to his disciples, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belonged to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. Remember the words I spoke to you. No servant is greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you also. If they obeyed my teaching, they will obey yours also. They will treat you this way because of my name, for they do not know the one who sent me." That's from John chapter 15, verses 18 to 21. It speaks of the world. What am I referring to? Well, let me begin this way. There has long been controversy among scholars of Australian Aboriginal religion, which is to say, the traditional religion of tribal Aborigines, as to what element in it is the most fundamental. Obviously, the dreaming is fundamental, but the question is, what is it in the dreaming which is the core principle? Is it, say, the figures of the ancestors, either the sky beings or the totemic ancestors? Is it certain of the rituals, say, of initiation? Or is it perhaps certain of the myths, certain myths among them? My own sense of it is that the profound attachment to the land and all that is connected with the land is what is fundamental to traditional Aboriginal religion. It is this which is the inspiration of the dreaming and which grounds so much else in the religion. That's my own theory. That is to say, the traditional Australian Aborigine has a deep sense of connectedness with the world of which he feels himself to be a part. He is bonded with it in so many senses and at so many levels. So much is this so that, well, it is a moot question, a moot point, whether there is in the religion a true sense of transcendence. I suspect that the mythic figures, including, say, the All-Father, Bayami for instance, of the southeastern tribes, as described especially by Howitt, were imagined as essentially part of the world. The Australian Aborigine felt a profound affiliation with this world, and this was the inspiration of his religion, which pervaded his life. I remember attending an address at Sydney University given by a Zoroastrian scholar of religions. He maintained that to a large extent religion was a technology. It was a means to gain some benefit, such as survival or sustenance. I think he would have said that in regard to the Australian Aborigine, that much of their religion, their myth and their ritual was oriented to sustenance and survival on the land and in the world. Well, now, of course, much of any religion springs from the essential vulnerability of man and his need for aid from the higher powers, however they might be imagined or conceived. But the point I wish to highlight here is the sense in man of his being deeply part of this world, which is his home. It is the most natural thing of all to feel deeply rooted in the world, and rooted to one's own turf in it. In this sense, everyone ought to be able to understand this fundamental feature of, say, the Australian Aboriginal mentality, and perhaps most indigenous religions, their cultures and their mentalities. We are all deeply connected with, as we might put it, the land, our land, for want of a better word. It is one reason why the typical religion of man is a local one, or rather one that is both coextensive with his particular culture and a product of it. If the culture extends to other societies or regions, so does the religion. It is unusual for there to be a religion that is essentially Catholic or universal, and which finds its home in any culture. Usually a religion is local or national, and it identifies with a particular culture or civilization. His religion is, I think, part of his profound connection with his own world, and his awareness of his world's sacredness and link with the unseen. I say all of this to introduce one notable feature of the revealed religion of Jesus Christ. St. John, in the prologue of his Gospel, introduces the tolling of a special bell, we might say. It is the toll of the world's unfriendliness towards its divine visitor. The light which enlightens every man was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. This tolling of enmity towards the Word made flesh is a great theme of the story of the world's salvation. In the religions of man, usually the religious man strives to gain the world to his advantage by his rituals and involvement with the mythic beings. In revealed religion, the one Creator intervenes to fix the world up at its roots. He enters the scene, and the world does not like it. It senses that it is going to have to change. There is a sense in which God become man did not find his home in the world, though he loved it so much. Now this is precisely what our Lord Jesus Christ warns his disciples about in the Gospel I read earlier. He said, if the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. John chapter 15, verse 18 to 21. Jesus Christ was in the world, but was not of the world. He was there to save it, and he ended up by being crucified. And that is how he saved it. His bearing the anger of the world atoned for the world's sins. We are called not to find our ultimate home in the world, but in God, God become man. Our true homeland is in heaven, and this world is our passageway. It too will pass away and be transformed into something new and everlasting. This will be the final gift of the Creator, who time and again has been spurned by the world. Our Lord referred to the prince of this world, and that prince was at enmity with God. Let us take our stand with Jesus Christ and live in union with him as he labours through us to win the whole world for God both now and forever.